Hello, chess fans. It's Craig Marr again. You know, back in the day, I used to like to play, the top players in the country. This was way back in the 1980s. But in 1984, I flew all the way to Los Angeles to play in the LA Memorial Day tournament, which was played May in 1984. And it was a 6-round Swiss. Let me explain to you guys, a Swiss system tournament can have hundreds of players. And so I played in the open section. That's the top section where the pros play. Well, I started out well in the first 4 rounds with 3 wins and a draw. So whenever you start out fast like that, you're going to get some tough pairings. And so I look up, I go to my board, and it's round 5, and I have black against the great Yasser Seirawan, rated 2558. Well, back then, Yasser was the up-and-coming superstar. He was the Cosmo Bachelor of the Month. And now, we know Yasser, that he's a terrific commentator in St. Louis. But, back then, I knew that he was underrated USCF because, I know he'd been playing a lot of games internationally, especially in Europe. And now in this game, I'm just 24-10 USCF, and I'm kind of a weak IM, and these are the kind of players that Yasser squashes like a bug, especially when he has white. So, and he had a very good reputation as a great positional player, which he was at that time. Now, we were on the stage, so everybody could see the demonstration board, and we were one of the last games to finish for that round, so all the eyes were on our game. And I remember big GM Larry Christensen watching, and he kind of thought it was an easy draw for black. So after the game, he asked me, were there any problems? And I just had to laugh, But anyway, here's the game. Okay, I had black here against Yasser Seirawan, who had white. And Yasser was, a very positional player. So, of course, he's going to open with Queen's Pawn. And this was, back in the day, this was Yasser's favorite line, Queen C2 against the Nimzo. The idea is that you will not accept the double pawns. If black ever takes on C3, you're going to recapture the queen and have the 2 bishops. So this is a very strong idea that was favored by Capablanca way back in the day. And this actually is playable. The other move that's completely playable is, of course, D5. But this move was kind of fashionable at the time. This was what I thought was maybe equal, but Yasser demonstrates to me that white can get an edge after this sequence of moves. Now, you can already see that black has some major problems, particularly with the development of his bishop. It's just going to be very difficult. So this is a natural move. The problem is that I have the big holes on the dark squares. the computer's got it all wrong. The computer says, well, black is equal or even better after pawn takes pawn, but I have to disagree. I think the ending is probably in white's favor because he has the bishops. And against Yasser, you do not want to get into a position where he can grind you down because he's got the patience to do just that. So I decided, yeah, let's kind of keep it complicated. Keep it complicated. Again, the computer likes pawn takes pawn, but I thought, maybe this this retreat was okay, but in fact the computer says black is already down and has a serious disadvantage. So now the computer recommends that I sacrifice, but knight f5 is probably best. Now you can see that white already pretty much has one game because he's got the two bishops and black has no counterplay whatsoever in the position. So I knew that I was in big trouble, and in fact I'm almost 2 pawns down here. Now Yasser gave this some high praise after the game in the post-mortem. It's kind of interesting that sometimes when you play a very strong player, you'll probably learn more in the post-mortem than you will in the game. And that's often the case. So the computer recommends knight e7 here, but I decided to try to break up the queenside pawns. And now bishop takes knight is fine, as well as b5. Now in this case, white has a significant advantage and doesn't want to, give up the two bishop advantage. So bishop f5 I don't think is correct here. Now, I'm not sure if Yasser overlooked this shot, but anyway, this is the move that Yasser came up with after about 15 to 20 minutes of thought. He really tanked on this one. The problem with what I played, and it looks like I have to play, see if I take the rook, it's just too dangerous. Taking the rook probably loses. If I take the rook, Yasser might play something like bishop takes knight, pawn takes bishop, queen h6, and then I'm really cooked. Because if I try to block with f5, then the knight comes in here, and it looks like I'm dead. So I cannot, I'd like to, but I cannot capture the rook. So this is the move that's forced. And now I'm in big trouble after this. Look at how ugly black's game is now. It's ugly, man. Really, really ugly. Now Yasser should go on to win this game because it's so, it's just bad. Queen d2 is best with the idea of, planting the knight on d4, and black has zero, counterplay in that position. But Yasser selected this move. Now I see that knight g5 is actually a winning threat. So I've got to play actively here. And now, even though white is better, he's only a little bit better. And he's a pawn down. So now, if I trade queens, black is fine. Black can easily hold the game, but I decided, well, let's get queen g7 in. I thought that I could hold this position without too much trouble, and the computer agrees that although white is better, it's probably about a draw at this point. Now we're trading everything off. And we're down to skin and bones, so this is my best chance against the superstar. But white still has some, ways to annoy black, so I was prepared to really dig in here. Now Yasser's maneuvering, and it's still probably a draw. Now I'm practically in Zeuswang because I can't really move anything. He's threatening. Knight takes d5 here. And I've got to pretty much give up material here. So I decided, well, let's go into the queen and pawn ending. And now I decided black has two moves here. You can play d4 or you can play queen g6. But I decided on the more double-edged move because black now has a passed pawn. Now, in the queen ending, it gets kind of exciting because of the passed pawn. So now it's a race. These are the moves recommended by the computer, so now I should have gone up, king h7. But I decided to go to g8, and now he's got this kind of sneaky attack threatening h6, and I'm checkmated. So I've got to be very, very careful in this position. Very, very careful. But the computer calls it a draw, okay? But this move, queen e2, I must have spent at least 15 minutes on. And now the computer recommends h6 with a draw by Perpet. But obviously Yasser wanted more here. Now, white is taking some risk because, the black passed pawn is already far down there. So Yasser really started to think here. Now, I played kind of a funny move. The computer prefers king e5 here, but I played here. And now h6 is actually leads to a draw. But Yasser wanted to preserve some winning chances here. I actually, he really started thinking, and he thought himself into time pressure here. So, kind of interesting. Yasser had about less than 5 minutes here, and really started thinking. Whereas I had about 15 minutes for the next time control, and so Yasser was in a little bit of time trouble here. So he decided, he kind of chickened out. He obviously saw the draw occurring here, but he wanted to really play it safe because here's the thing: if he doesn't play h6, then the passed pawn can get very dangerous. For example, if he plays like king h4, then I have queen e4 check, followed by d2, and it just gets extremely dangerous for Yasser. Although I think he could have played a little bit risky here, but it's not his style to do that. So at this point, with everybody watching, because this was on one of the top demonstration boards, we had everybody watching this game. We were one of the last to finish. I saw the draw at this point, and I felt kind of relieved. So, but I knew that I could play on and try to beat him because of the time trouble. He only had maybe 2 minutes left on the clock. I had about 15 minutes. But I decided, well, just play it safe. Now, the reason that white cannot play for a win is because if he comes up here with a king or plays g4, I'm going to take this with check, and then this passed pawn is going to be very strong here, very dangerous. So in fact here, white pretty much has to go back. And at this point, I kind of threw up my arms and I offered Yasser a draw. and he accepted it. And then he very graciously went over the game with me, and I think I learned a lot just from going over the game with a world-class player. So anyway, that's how the game ended, and thanks for watching, folks.